Reds in their camouflage uniforms on this military appreciation night. Of course, remembering Tuesday, June the 6th, 1944. The Normandy landings were the landing operations of the Allied invasion of Normandy and Operation Overlord during World War II. Still the largest seaborne invasion in all of history. And we recognize so many of those who fought and served in World War II that are still with us before the ball game tonight. Let's take a look at the St. Louis Cardinals starting lineup, game 2 of this 4-game series presented by Menards. They'll go with Fowler in center, Carpenter at first, and Piscotty in right. Jerko, the third baseman, Molina catching, Tommy Pham in left. Paul DeYoung is the shortstop, Greg Garcia at second, Adam Wainwright on the mound. And the numbers on Tim Adelman making his 10th appearance, his 9th start, coming off his best back-to-back games of the year.
Well, one of those back-to-back games was 8 innings of one-hit shutout baseball against the Philadelphia Phillies. He was dominant that night, no question. Did it in front of a lot of family and friends from the East Coast. But I really believe that his last outing, even though he only went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs against the Blue Jays were on fire offensively, and he did a really good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark and keeping it down the zone using his off-speed stuff. He'll have to do the same thing here tonight.
All right, Fowler digging in. Came over, of course, from the Cubs to the Cardinals during this offseason. He looks at ball 1. We're underway. Over Adelman's last 14 1/3 innings, he has only allowed 7 hits and 3 runs, spanning a pair of starts. Fowler on base twice last night, drew a walk to lead off the game. He singled in 3 official at-bats. 225 batter, does have 8 home runs and is knocked in 20. Adelman jumps in front at 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a little dribbler. Adelman with plenty of time, and he'll throw out Fowler a step in front of the bag for the first out of the night. We look at the Reds on defense. Presented by Ford. Hamilton again in the lineup. Duvall a rare off day. Gennett goes over into left, and still no Scott Schebler in right. Patrick Kiblahan gets the nod out there. The regular cast along the infield, and Tucker Barnhart tonight hanging the signs for Adelman. 1 away from Matt Carpenter. Came into this series last night, Chris. He had 1 hit and 4 at-bats. It's just so strange to see the batting average of Carpenter down in the very low 200s. This guy's been a good hitter and a good player for a long time.
Well, he's not alone. I mean, there are a number of Cardinal hitters whose offensive numbers are way down so far this year, and it has a lot of Cardinal fans scratching their heads. Are they getting old collectively? Is it just a little mini slump that they're going through? They're playing close ball games, but they're not winning. And I think that's when you really start picking apart individual performances. One thing about Carpenter, though, he's never been in a hurry to swing the bat. He has always been among the league leaders every year in the most pitches seen overall in the season, and the most pitches seen per every time he comes to the plate.
When you consider about playing close games, you know, much is made of a team's record in 1-run games, and we've talked a lot about that in the past. But if you just look at the total number of not only 1-run games, but also 2-run games, that was the case last night. The Cardinals have played 55 games so far this season. 34 of the 55 have been decided by 2 runs or less.
You know, if nothing else, I can't believe that Mike Matheny still has brown hair.
You're right. Good genes.
I mean, if that doesn't give you gray hair, what will?
Good genes up there in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. That's his hometown, just east of Columbus. Although he decided to play college baseball at the University of Michigan.
That's because Ohio State didn't recruit him.
Doesn't matter.
Got to tell the whole story, partner.
It doesn't matter. Even if they don't recruit you, you can't make that move.
I guess he could at least gone to Ohio U, right?
Well, that's where he should have ended up to begin with. But once he got beyond that point, they already had too many good players. popped up left side, 2 outs in the inning because Mr. Welsh, as you pointed out to me a little more than a week ago, we could talk about Michigan, we could talk about Ohio State, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ohio University would be the only school of those three that played in this year's baseball NCAA tournament.
You're right about that. You know, that was an interesting at bat there by Matt Carpenter. It just seems to me, is his bat just a little bit slow right now? I mean, it just doesn't have a lot of snap in it.
Stephen Piscotty, the St. Louis right fielder, at 243. 3 home runs and a total of 15 runs batted in. He clubbed a 3-run home run the final game of the Cubs series before this series began last night. And he lifts a 2-out single into left field to keep the inning alive for Jerko.
Piscotty hit 22 last year, so they're depending on him for a little bit of power, but he's not shown that. In fact, his number of at-bats per home run is way off from this year from last year. That's a pretty nice level swing, though.
And we brought up the fact last night that they recently sent out Randall Grichuk. And there's another guy that was right in the middle of this St. Louis batting order last year. Hit 24 home runs, had 29 doubles. And he's all the way down in single A ball trying to get everything back together.
You know, sometimes that's a little misleading that, you know, you send, why wouldn't you send him to AAA? I mean, after all, he's coming down from the big leagues. Well, they may have a batting instructor that is the right guy for him down there in A ball. So you work with your own little batting guru to get you back on track.
You may remember years and years ago, the last time I heard of a bona fide major league player, he was much more of an established player than Grichuk, was Ron Gant. If you remember, he came up, had some really good years with the Atlanta Braves, and then struggled so badly they sent him down to Sumter, I believe it was, in South Carolina for the same reason, all the way down to single A ball. And we know that Gant got it all together even after a very terrible bike injury and landed with the Reds. Runner goes and he is safe. Throw a little bit high.
Well, I think the tag was high. You know, we've talked about this a number of times because it certainly seemed like the throw got through the bag before the runner did. But I think the Peraza just tagged him up on the thigh rather than getting that glove right down there in front of the base. Why not put that glove down there where you're going to actually slide? I think he tried to do it. He just couldn't get it down in time.
Ooh, I tell you what, the Reds are going to ask for a replay look.
I think they might be right.
So this umpiring crew, David Rackley is the home plate umpire. The crew chief is working at first base tonight, Alfonso Marquez. He's on the left. Bill Welke is the second base umpire tonight, so he's also on the headset. And over at third, it's Chad Fairchild. Got a feeling, yep, there it is. He's out at second base, and that will end the inning. So a good challenge by Brian Price. Scoreless first, and the Reds are coming up. Reds coming to bat, bottom half of the first inning. Let's take a look at their starting lineup presented by Menards. It'll be Billy Hamilton to lead things off, followed by Zach Cozart and Joey Votto. Suarez into the cleanup spot, an off night for Duvall. Gennett replaces him in left with Kiblahan in right. A ladder third to Peraza, Barnhart, and Adelman. And what a career. Started his career, you may remember, in the big leagues anyway, as a reliever during the postseason, but has become one of the great starters over the last 8-10 years, and that's Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, he's got nearly 100 appearances out of the bullpen, but this is start number 266 for the big right-hander from Georgia. 140 wins against 79 losses and an earned run average of 3.1 lifetime. That is an excellent major league career.
His last outing, an outing certainly to remember. He worked 6 shutout innings against the Dodgers. He hit a 2-run home run. Those were the only runs scored in a 2-0 Cardinal win. His last 4 games total, he has allowed 1 run, spanning nearly 27 innings. 1 run. Two balls and a strike on Billy Hamilton. Chris mentioned the total number of starts that Wainwright has made in his career. Tonight is the 227th career start with Yadier Molina as his battery mate. That is the most in Cardinals history and the most for any tandem since Tom Glavine and Javier Lopez. A ball will stay right on the line. A base hit for Billy Hamilton. They were waiting for it to go foul, and as soon as it was, well, if it did go foul, they just touch it so it couldn't come back before it got to the bag. How about that?
You know, the line is, if it's raised at all, it is just ever so slightly, and the ball goes in between the line and the grass. Look at that, just come right down there. They're waiting for it, and as long as any part of that ball is hanging over the white line, it's going to be a fair ball, even if it looks like it's sitting in foul territory. So Billy Hamilton gets a swinging bunt that time.
All right, so here we go. Let the game within the game begin. Hamilton thrown out by Molina last night for just the 3rd time in 27 attempts against this perennial all-star and Gold Glove winning catcher of the Cardinals.
Well, it should be noted that he was thrown out trying to steal 3rd base. In fact, he made the 3rd out of 3rd. So somewhat ill-advised time to run right there. You wonder now if he'll try to take 2nd on Wainwright.
For those of you that weren't with us last night, in the 1st inning, Hamilton led off the game with a walk. He went through the entire Zach Cozart at bat without attempting to steal. The count went to 3-2 on Joey Votto. He ran on a 3-2 pitch. Votto grounded out. And then, as Chris mentioned, with Duvall at the plate, he tried to steal 3rd base, and that was the final out of that inning. What an incredible season it is for Zach Cozart. 348 batter, 9 home runs, 33 runs batted in. Told you a short while ago, trails only Dodger Corey Seager in the voting for the All-Star game for National League shortstops, but he leads every National League shortstop in every major offensive category that you can possibly think of, or any one that means anything.
Well, he's a perfect number 2 hitter when Billy Hamilton gets on base because he's now very confident. He is very patient at the plate. He took that extra pitch, that 2nd strike, probably giving Billy Hamilton maybe one more pitch to decide whether he wanted to try to steal 2nd.
2-2 on Cozart. Hamilton a hearty lead over there. Not running. And a slow roller to the left side. And Jerko will throw out Cozart, but Hamilton moves into scoring position with 1 out, and Votto coming up.
Hey, Tom, I did a little fact checking, and indeed the Michigan Wolverines did go to the NCAA
Then
baseball
I beg your
tournament
pardon.
this year.
I stand corrected.
Actually played down at University of North Carolina, were 2 and out, but they still made an appearance in postseason.
All right, well then I beg your pardon. I had seen that. Just quickly glancing through, because I'm guilty as charged. I don't pay a lot of attention to it. I saw where another Big Ten team was also, I think it was Nebraska that made the tournament. So I just assumed that maybe the Big Ten did not have another team in the tournament. All right, a scoring chance here now for the Reds. Joey Votto, the batter. So to all the Wolverine fans out there, I apologize. And there are a lot of them.
Yes, there are.
There are a lot of them. They have a.
Oh, they've got a pretty good list of former Major League players who played for the Reds.
Better believe that.
Who went to University of Michigan.
Including one of the all-time greats, not only for the Reds, but at his position in the history of the game, in Barry Larkin. Chris Sabo also comes to mind, right? Am I forgetting anybody else?
Hal Morris.
Hal Morris, right. Wainwright will take the out rather than risk not getting Hamilton drifting off the second base bag. 2 away. We look at the Cardinals on defense. Fowler flanked by Tommy Pham and Steven Piscotty. Jerko, DeYoung, Garcia, and Carpenter third to first. Molina and Wainwright in the battery. And I've been brought up to date, Chris, to tie a ribbon around this story once and for all. There were actually 5 Big Ten teams that made the NCAA baseball tournament. Michigan, I mentioned Maryland, also Iowa, Indiana, and Nebraska. So now Suarez, it's still Hamilton in scoring position. What a huge hit it was last night for Suarez. That ball that looked like had been caught, the liner to straightaway center field. It would have been an incredible play made by Dexter Fowler. And then the ball came squirting out of his glove as he leaped into the air to try and make the play. And it turned into a 2-run double. That was the final batter that Carlos Martinez would face. And they brought in Kevin Segrist. And Scooter Gennett broke the tie with a 2-run double. 5-game hit streak for Suarez. He's knocked in 3 during it. Still 0-2.
You know what you get with Wainwright is a lot of 4-seam fastballs, a lot of 2-seam fastballs, a cutter, and a curveball. He rarely, if ever, does he ever throw a changeup. But his curveball is one of those he kind of varies speeds on a little bit. Sometimes he'll even have different arm angles. Now that would be the cutter. A cutter, if you don't know, is a pitch that is somewhere between a slider and a fastball. It's more of a speed pitch than a breaking pitch, and it will move away from a right-handed hitter.
That one got a piece of his jersey. So there's an at-bat that got away from Wainwright. Was ahead 0-2. Missed with a pitch and now hits Suarez. 2-on for the left-handed batting Scooter Gennett. Scooter with that 2-run double to break the 2-2 tie last night. Came against left-hander Kevin Segrist. It snapped an 0-for-19 skid. The longest hitless skid by a Red batter so far this year. And the second longest of Scooter's career. He had an 0-for-21 stretch going back 2 seasons ago.
I thought the at-bat he had last night against Kevin Segrist was just so great. He's now has, what, 4 base hits against Segrist, a left-handed specialist in 9 at-bats.
Little looper, and this is going to fall in, a base hit. That'll bring in Billy Hamilton, and Gennett delivers yet again, and the Reds are out to a 1-0 lead in the opening inning.
Well, things are really falling the Reds' way, I can tell you, because Billy Hamilton gets on base with a swinging bunt that goes right down the first baseline. A jam shot on a good pitch from Wainwright, but it just falls into no man's land. And just like that, the Reds score in the first inning again.
And they're not finished yet.
I think they've gotten to the point where they expect to score in the first inning, period.
Give Lehan a bouncing ball to the shortstop. The force out ends the inning, but a nice start for the Reds. At the end of one, a 1-0 lead over Wainwright and the Cardinals. For tonight's AARP, getting to know Tim Adelman. Pitched collegiately at Georgetown University, right in Washington, D.C., drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in the 24th round. Chris, those guys rarely make it.
Well, you're right. And in fact, he was at first not even destined to go to Georgetown. He was destined to go to St. Joe's. But the college coach that recruited him, Sean Pender, decided to retire. So he had Adelman go to Georgetown, where one of his former students and coaches was the head coach. And Adelman was an excellent student, so we had no problem getting into Georgetown, had a nice education there. And it was that same former coach that recommended him to the Reds. Now, Sean Pender is, over the last few years, has been an advanced scout for the Reds. We see him in spring training in uniform down there a lot. He's a very sharp guy when it comes to baseball. In fact, right now, I think he's over in the Far East scouting in Asia for Japanese and Korean players. But he recommended Adelman after he saw Adelman playing in the Atlantic League, which is the independent league. And all of a sudden his velocity bumped up a little bit. The Reds gave him a shot. Next thing you know, he's moving up the ladder in the Reds minor league organization and makes it to the major leagues. It's really a great story.
And one guy really rooting for him is the vice chairman of the Reds, Tom Williams. He is a proud alumnus of Georgetown University. Swing and a miss by Yadier Molina. And Tom Williams is the uncle of Reds general manager Dick Williams. Tom and his brother Joe, their family, of course, during the days of the Big Red Machine, had ownership of the ball club, and now the two sons are part of the ownership group along with Bob Castellini. In fact, you take it even a step further, it was Castellini along with Tom and Joe Williams who had a share along with Bill DeWitt in the purchase of the St. Louis Cardinals from the Bush family many years ago. And then when the Reds franchise became available, it was Castellini and the Williams brothers who bought their hometown team. Still nothing at 2 on Molina.
No question about what Molina's trying to do right here. I mean, if you've ever seen a guy trying to hit the right field, nobody does it as well and as consistently over his career as Molina. But you can really, that's where he's trying to go with it right now.
Oh, 2 delivery coming on Molina. Nope, they'll send the runner back to the bag. Jerko, not really much of a base stealing threat. You know, Bob Castellini, I mentioned him. He too is a Georgetown University graduate down low. So, I mean, they're really rooting for Tim Adelman. We'll have Mr. Castellini on with us tomorrow night when we will have our Reds Community Fund telethon game to raise money for the Reds Community Fund. There is strike 3 called, and Molina knew it. Well, maybe he doesn't know it. That looked really good from up here, but apparently Yachty disagrees after all.
Yadier thought it was outside. We'll take a look on our Fox tracks and see if it had the corner. It looks like it was too close to take. Nice little running action on the fastball that starts off and then comes back. And look at Tucker Barnhart. I mean, doesn't move the glove, just holds it there. For that theatrical timeout, and wants to make sure that David Rackley has a good look and plenty of time to ring him up.
Now Tommy Pham, he had some really nice swings in the game here last night, and has done an excellent job. In his 26 games, he has 5 home runs and 15 runs batted in. Had an RBI double, scored a run, also drew a walk in 4 plate appearances last night. This is not a power hitting Cardinal team, nor is it a running Cardinal team. We documented last night this was a Cardinal team that led the National League in home runs a season ago. They are second from the bottom in home runs so far this year.
Pham is one of those kids that, you know, if you're a Cardinal fan, you really root for him too. 8+ years in the minor leagues before he ever got a shot to play in the big leagues. And when he did, it was only for 6 games in 2014. Played a little bit more a couple of years ago, and they're relying on him much more now, as you said.
That ball's hit pretty well. That's going to back up Kiblahan to the track, and in front of the wall, he'll make the catch. It is not a warm night by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, there is next to 0 humidity in the air. The temperatures are quite cool.
You know, Kiblahan is not an experienced outfielder. He's a guy that is primarily an offensive player. He plays first base most of the time when you put him in a lineup somewhere, but he's not playing first base here. So the Reds trying to get his bat in the lineup with Schebler down, and he does a nice job tracking that ball.
So 2 away in the inning after a leadoff single by Jerko, and here's DeYoung. He started last night at second base, moves over to shortstop here tonight. Diaz with the night off. Chris mentioned that game earlier this season for Adelman against the Cardinals. Reds have already been to St. Louis twice this year. Twice, in fact, in the month of April. So they only go back to St. Louis one more time, and that won't be until the middle of September. But Adelman went 5 1/3 innings, allowed a season high 8 hits, a season high 6 runs. And I guess technically the Reds have 2 more trips into St. Louis because they have 1 game to make up. Had 1 game rained out. That'll be on June the 26th after the Reds finish a swing through Tampa and Washington, D.C. They'll play on a Monday and make up that rained out game. Then go back in September.
I think it's really interesting what Tim Adelman is able to do with a fastball that the radar gun measures only around 90 to 92 miles an hour. He's thrown some as slow as 88 here today. But he's got a little extra something on it that the Cardinals right now just seem to be just a tick behind.
One and 2 on DeYoung. RBI Baseball 2017 returns. Fast-paced pick-up and play MLB action. All your favorite teams, players, ballparks, and much more. Learn more at RBIGame.com. We're in the 2nd inning at Great American Ballpark, and the Reds with a 1-0 lead. Runner at first and 2 out. And another foul ball. Not a lot of fans early on tonight on their toes. That is a second foul ball during this at bat that had a lot of hang time and hit a seat where fans weren't going for it. Seen some good plays around here so far this spring, but a little slow to get going tonight.
Are you the kind of guy that goes after a foul ball?
No, never.
Are you the kind of guy that
ducks,
vacates so somebody else can make a great catch?
I don't care if anybody makes a catch. I'm just getting out of the way.
How about Luke when you take him to the ball game? Does he take his glove with him?
He's acting like a big shot, like he'd make the play. Believe me, he'd duck too. Although he can play. Swing and a miss, inning over. Reds lead 1-0. Well, if a Red, it's a home run off the Toyota sign during our game tonight. John Fortune from Amelia, Ohio, will win that beautiful new Tundra on display every day at Great American Ballpark. Why not register for your chance to win? All you need to do is stop by your Cincinnati and/or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Reds 1, Cardinals 0. Reds bat last of the second inning against longtime Cardinals ace Adam Wainwright. He's got a 2-out single, bloop single by Scooter Gennett. Leading Billy Hamilton in the opening inning. Jose Peraza pops it up over near the Reds dugout and out of play. You know, Wainwright navigated his way, first of all, through the Atlanta Braves organization. Chris mentioned earlier he was a #1 pick, 29th overall in June 2000. And then came over to the Cardinals in the J.D. Drew trade. There's a fly ball into right center field that will be out #1. That was in 2003. A year and a half later, he pitched in 2 games at the end of the season for the Cardinals. The following year, despite the fact that he had been a starting pitcher all but 2 games during his entire minor league career, in 2006, they brought him to the big leagues as a reliever. He pitched in 61 games. It wasn't until the end of the year that he became the closer. You know, they were going through one guy and another guy and another guy, and they had injuries and ineffectiveness. And here Tony La Russa decided our best chance to win in the postseason was to throw this kid rookie to be our closer. He had not been the closer during the regular season. He had 3 total saves during the regular year. But by the time they got into end of September, early October, La Russa said, well, experience, who cares? We're giving the ball to Wainwright. He had a save in the division series, pitched in 3 games. Then in the league championship series, saved 2 games against the New York Mets and saved a game in the sweep of the Detroit Tigers in the World Series. But that experiment did not last long because he was right back to the starting rotation a year later.
Well, what Adam Wainwright has always had is that big overhand curveball. I mean, really good curveball and good control of it. He's never been a guy that has been a 95-mile-an-hour pitcher. It's always been more a little bit of finesse with the fastball and being able to get the curveball in for a strike.
Three and 2 on Tucker Barnhart. That ball stung to center, but right at Fowler, 2 out. A reminder, coming up later on, we'll have our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. 2 down here in the second inning, a 1-0 Cincinnati lead, and the pitcher Adelman, 1 of 13 as a batter, comes to the plate against Wainwright. perfect weather night. I would imagine it'll be a little on the cool side in the not too distant future here. You mean the high today was only in the low to mid 70s?
Well, if you like warm weather, hang around to the weekend.
Yeah, you're right. It'll be very warm this weekend.
Reds will be off to Los Angeles and then San Diego on their West Coast trip. Cardinals go back home to play the Philadelphia Phillies and then 4 against the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, the Cardinals have not won a game on this road trip. They were swept a 3-game series against their longtime rival Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field, and then losing the opener here to the Redlegs last night. And they come in 3 games under 500. It's a 1-2-3 second for Wainwright. Jim Day will have a special guest when we come back in the third. Stick around for that.
Reds and Cardinals roll on here on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day. This region just continues to be more and more exciting. A great place to live, and we love to talk to our next guest. She is Linda Antis. She is the president and CEO of Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network, and she is the queen of selling this region. How are we doing?
I'm great. How are you doing after your busy day off?
Yes, I did. We shot another spot this morning that will be upcoming here during Reds games. Let's talk about I hate to talk about my name, but Jim's Day Off Sweepstakes. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. So how would you like to win? Okay, how about residents or visitors? You can win some prizes if you go to CincinnatiUSA.com/Jim's Day Off. You could win dining, shopping, attractions, all kinds of exciting things to do.
Well, we love that, and it's my pleasure to go around the region and sell this place because this is one of the greatest places on earth to live and visit. Now, Reds, obviously, staple of the community for so long. Half-price tickets. Now, I said half-price tickets. Tell us about it.
That's right. Exclusively at CincinnatiUSA.com. If you book your hotel room anywhere throughout this region, you can get half-price Reds tickets for your favorite homestand.
And that's if you book through CincinnatiUSA.com, correct?
Absolutely. You betcha.
Who doesn't like half off?
Everybody likes half off.
All right, let's talk about the banks. We said this many times. For people that haven't been down here in a while, it continues to grow and grow, and there are so many things to do before and after the game, and it doesn't even have to be a game day.
That's right. You know, family friendly. The restaurants are popping up over and over. You find new things. We have our beautiful Freedom Center right 2 blocks to the west. A beautiful place for families, great date night. How about some culinary or little brewskis, perhaps? All kinds of fun things to do right outside the ballpark. Beautiful Ohio River. What a great night. What a great location, the banks.
Well, Mr. Romance, Chris Welsh, likes the information on date night, and he is Mr. Culinary as well, so he is going to file that away. Let's talk about Smale Riverfront Park, because we've had some out-of-town viewers that covered the Reds years ago, and there was nothing between the stadiums. And now all of a sudden there is a destination spot, and Smale Riverfront Park is gorgeous.
It is absolutely gorgeous. You know, it's 45 acres. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
It's huge. So there are swings, there's a labyrinth, there's the beautiful Carol Ann's Carousel. It's like this gorgeous glass box with custom carved creatures that are very significant about the legacy and history of Cincinnati.
One of my favorite things is we look at the swings is they have that giant foot piano there as well. And every time you go there, there are strollers and there are moms and sons and daughters down there. There's so much to do for kids.
That's right. It's a beautiful gathering place. It's on the front door of our downtown Cincinnati area, and it's right at the end of the Roebling, which is, of course, heading over to the South Shore of Cincinnati, USA.
Now, everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but Star Wars is so big. And at the Cincinnati Museum Center, they've got a Star Wars gig going on there. Tell us about it.
That's right. Star Wars and the power of costume. How about the bikini?
Excuse me?
The bikini?
of Princess Leia.
That's right. Or how about Chewbacca's mohair, yak suit? All kinds of beautiful stories behind the making of many of these costumes from the first 7 films.
That is terrific. Again, CincinnatiUSA.com. You are the queen of selling this region, and we thank you so much, as always, for joining us.
Thank you, Jim. Take a day off, okay?
I will do that. Appreciate it. All right, boys. Doesn't get better than Lynn Antis.
No, it does not. She is one of the great ambassadors for our great city and our great region of America. And of course, CincinnatiUSA.com is the sponsor of the Reds Caravan. So when we see many of you, on the road, north, south, east, and west on the Reds Caravan, you can thank Linda and anybody else who happens to be representing CincinnatiUSA.com when we come rolling through your town. So 2 away in the inning, back-to-back strikeouts for Adelman, and now he's ahead of Dexter Fowler at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I'll tell you, he's dealing right now. He's got the Cardinals behind on his fastball and ahead on his breaking and off-speed pitches.
Two and two on Fowler. Got him swinging, and Adelman fans aside. He has struck out 4 in a row, and 5 of the last 6. Reds lead 1-0. Time to take a look at our storyline, brought to you by Elk and Elk. Mentioned that Billy Hamilton last night was thrown out for just the 3rd time in 27 stolen base attempts, when Yadier Molina's been behind the plate. I mean, that's by far not even close the most stolen bases of any single player when Molina's behind the dish. Of course, Hamilton runs more than any other single player with Molina behind the
I'm not
dish.
sure that there's another player with even half as many stolen bases against Molina as Billy Hamilton has overall.
And double the number of attempts almost of any other single player. That's how long Molina's been around. But it all comes back to the pitcher. We know that. I mean, Molina's among the all-time greats. There you see among active catchers, the stolen base percentage against Molina. Threw out a pair of runners last night, Hamilton being one of them at 3rd base. But lucky for him, through all these years, Chris, as great as he's been, and we know how great he is and how great he has been, you still have to have the guys on the mound give you a chance to throw people out.
That's one of the more skewed stats in baseball, the catcher's ability to throw runners out. And really, scouts don't go by that at all. They go by what they call pop time, which is the amount of time it takes from the time you hear the pop of the glove of the catcher's mitt until the pop of the glove at the second baseman's mitt. With the bunt single last night, that was Billy's 4th bunt hit of the year. He's now on the leaderboard. In fact, he's tied for 2nd place with the likes of Ender Inciarte and Cody Bellinger. And Ledmus Diaz has 3. There's 2 of them there with 4. It was something that Billy was really reluctant to do early in the year. And the interview that, I don't know if you saw it in the Reds Live, the pregame today, with Billy talking about, how you've got to be committed to the bunt. When the pitch is on its way, you can't be indecisive thinking, do I want to swing or do I want to bunt? You make your mind up ahead of time. And when he gets that down, boy, what a weapon that will be.
Carpenter will take it himself, and Hamilton retired to start the Reds' 3rd inning. We had the big bowling night on Sunday night to raise money for the Reds Community Fund. Tomorrow night we have our Reds Community Fund telethon, where we'll be asking those of you at home who are able to help pitch in where the community fund redoes baseball fields and softball fields in and around Cincinnati and greater Cincinnati, and for that matter all over Reds country into West Virginia, Columbus, Dayton, Louisville, Lexington, Indiana. And then we have a night of their own coming up on June the 15th, and coming up a little bit later on tonight, Amanda Brenneman will be here. That is Marty's wife, Amanda Brenneman, to tell you more about how you could get involved in coming down to be a part of that. Two balls and a strike to Zach Cozart. We talk all the time about not a bad seat in that place. Look at that shot right there. I mean, that's 3 decks above the playing field. And there's ball 4 to Cozart. And look at what a great seat that is. Right on top of the action. And there's no shortage of options for the beer lovers here at Great American Ballpark. The Moorline Lager House craft beer stands offers some of your favorite local, regional, national beers. Stop by your next visit to the ballpark. For tickets, log on to Reds.com. Now Votto with a runner at first. Joey, a comebacker to Wainwright, his first time up. You know, Chris, you've talked so much about Cozart. We've talked about his numbers and how just extraordinary they have been. But you've also talked a great deal about how well he's seeing the ball and taking more pitches. If you can believe this, that was his 31st walk of the year. Okay? In 219 plate appearances. That's the second highest walk total he has ever had. He walked 31 times in 2012, but that was in over 600 plate appearances. His career high is 37 walks. And he's on his way to third perhaps here. He'll make the turn and easily get to third on the base hit by Votto.
Well, this year the Reds have that double bang of having Cozart get on base a lot and Votto being Votto. And Votto, I think, probably looking for curveball on this at bat. He goes right down to get a pretty good pitch from Wainwright.
All right, runners on the corners, only 1 out. And it's ball 1 to Eugenio Suarez. You know, Chris, you mentioned last night that, you know, Cozart appeared to be moving rather slowly. And, you know, we know about the knee issues he had, but he looks like he's got some extra padding up around that thigh area underneath the uniform from where we sit. Does that look like the same to you, or am I imagining that?
Yeah, it looks like he's got a little wrap there. I mean, these guys go through aches and pains throughout the season. You really never know what's going on from day to day. Could be you wake up one day, your leg hurts in the front, the next day it hurts in the back. When you're playing every day, you have to have, you know, the ability, that threshold of pain, to just kind of put it in the back of your mind. I'm glad to see that it's not the knee that he's wearing a brace
Yeah.
on.
High fly ball down the right field line. If it's catchable, it's another run. And was it caught? It is caught. Tagging and scoring from third base is Cozart. So a nice job by Suarez to make it a 2-0 ball game.
You got to ask yourself right there, and I'm wondering if Adam Wainwright is asking the same thing. If this is in foul territory, do you really want to make this catch? I mean, definitely in foul territory. In fact, did that ball hit the wall?
Well, I'm wondering if it hit his glove and then came before it hit the wall into his mitt.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, if it hits your glove and then the wall, it becomes a dead ball. In this case, it would be a foul ball.
Right.
That's a foul ball all the way. Even though he ends up catching it, you can't pin it against the wall.
Yep. They're going to take a look at this.
Yeah, you can see David Bell on the phone right there, and they're going to get the umpires on the phone, or at least ask them, did you see something different?
Well, David Bell, you could read his lips. He looked at Mike Matheny and he said no catch. So they will look at it.
I mean, this is where MLB could save a lot of time and just flash it up on the board right here for everybody in the stadium to take a look at.
Yeah, it's clearly not a catch.
But again, you know, I guess it's worthwhile you have a second here to talk about the debate of whether you catch that ball or not. Early in the ball game, maybe you want to get it out whenever you can, but Wainwright's probably thinking, I need a ground ball right here. Maybe I can get a ground ball double play. He is throwing ground balls at 51% rate this year, which makes him a bona fide ground ball pitcher. He's also rolled up 8 ground ball double plays.
Of course, you know how it works. The flip side of all that is the Cardinals have lost 4 in a row, and the second that you wish that your outfielder didn't make the catch, the next guy hits a 3-run bomb into the seats. Hard to believe this is taking even this long. Hit the wall. You could already read Alfonso Marquez's lips. He just said it hit the wall. But we're still waiting to give the verdict.
Longer than a New York minute.
So they're going to send the runner back to third base. It is not a catch. So the call is overturned. Still a 1-0 game. Runners on the corners. And Suarez will step back in there. Took 1 minute and 30 seconds to come to that decision. It is 2 balls and a strike after that foul ball strike by Suarez. So we're going to pretend as though, Chris, you know, your scenario there, that he didn't make the catch. And let's see what kind of result Wainwright gets now.
Well, you see what Wainwright's trying to do. He's trying to pitch Suarez down and in, and hoping that on a little sinking fastball that he rolls over on it and gets a ground ball to the left side.
3-1 on Suarez. And he walks him to load him up. It's 2 walks in the inning. After a ground out by Hamilton to start this third, it's been walk, single, walk. And now Gennett. Scooter's last 2 swings have resulted in 3 runs batted in. The tie-breaking 2-run double last night, and the bloop single to left field, plating Hamilton in the first inning tonight. Got a fastball to hit right there and fouls it away. Bases loaded, 1-1 to Gennett. Started 2. They'll appeal down to third, and no, says Chad Fairchild. Is a big pitch right here in this at bat. 2 balls and a strike. He figures to get a strike to hit, and it's a little bit high. I think Wainwright taking a long look in at the home plate umpire David Rackley, wondering where that missed.
Yeah, he probably called it just too high right here. The midway point between the belt and the top of the shoulders. That ball's way up. I'm thinking Wainwright's going down and away right here in the safe zone.
Popped up into foul territory, and that will drift out of play. So 3-1 goes to 3-2. It will never happen. We may never see it happen again. But there was only one manager I ever saw with 1 out and the bases loaded that would start the runners on a 3-2 pitch every blue moon. Cincinnati's very own Don Zimmer.
I was going to say Zim.
3-2 on Gennett. We'll do it again. Well, those last 2 pitches are the mark of a guy who has just incredible confidence in his stuff. There are very few pitchers you'll see throw the last 2 pitches that Wainwright just did.
Look at his delivery, though. I mean, he has a repeatable delivery where he has the ability to throw the pitches where he wants to, under pressure, and that's really what it's all about.
Three balls, 2 strikes, bases loaded. Gennett waiting. Got a fastball, and bye-bye, baby! A salami by Scooter Gennett, the 2nd of his career. How about that?
Look at the reaction by Wainwright. He wanted a fastball in, and it comes right out over the center of the plate. Man, Scooter Gennett last night, the dagger into the heart of the Cardinals when he hit that line drive double down the right field line to drive in 2. And tonight drives in 4 with a big fly.
And you know what, Chris, his comments after the game that he made to Jeff Pecoro and then he made to the press corps at large after the game, it makes it so easy to root for Scooter Gennett, even if you've never met him, you've never seen him interviewed, you've never watched him play. Because he went down in there and he said, hey, look, I haven't had a hit in it seems like 2 weeks. He said, but I've tried to stay positive and do all the little things this team has asked me to do, whether it's playing, you know, left field one day, third base another day, second base another day, right field another day. Try to keep my teammates up in a positive frame of mind, doing anything I can to try and help us win a game even though I'm not hitting. Easy to root for guys who talk like that.
He's Tim Adelman's best friend right now, I can tell you that.
Well, since snapping the 0 for 19 stretch last night, his last 3 swings have gone 2-run double, RBI single, grand slam. 7 batted in the last 3 at bats.
Riding while he's hot.
Gone swinging is Peraza, but how about the Redlegs? They get the grand slam by Gennett to open a 5-0 lead. Scooter Gennett. A grand slam. He's knocked in all 5 Reds runs here tonight. RBI single in the first, the salami in the third. 5-0 is the Cardinals bat here in inning number 4 against Tim Adelman. I'd like to send out an unbelievable happy wedding anniversary greeting to Vaughn and Dee Hensey of West Portsmouth, Ohio. They are celebrating their 78th wedding anniversary today.
That is unbelievable.
I've never heard that
wow,
before.
That is just so great.
78-year anniversary for Vaughn and Dee Hensey of West Portsmouth, Ohio. God bless you both. We are thrilled to be able to wish you a happy anniversary. We should all be so lucky. Two and two, the count on Matt Carpenter. That's big Reds country down there in Portsmouth, Ohio. I don't care if it's east side, north side, west side. I think south side you're running into the river,
well,
right?
South side Kentucky is exactly what the town is. That's Don Gullett's hometown, or South Shore, I should say.
2 and 2 on Carpenter.
Of course, Portsmouth area that belongs to Gene Bennett.
Well, yeah, we talked to Gene earlier tonight. He is the man. We love Gene Bennett. You were talking about guys from Michigan earlier, talking about the University of Michigan. That's where Gene went to find Barry Larkin and Chris Sabo. Found Paul O'Neill up in Columbus, Ohio. Among the dozens and dozens and dozens of players that, thousands and thousands that Gene Bennett has scouted through the years, but, of the dozens and dozens that he has signed through the years. Some of you may be wondering, and it wouldn't take long to all of a sudden say, oh, that's right. Why the Reds are wearing their camouflage uniforms tonight. This marking, of course, June the 6th and the invasion of Normandy, D-Day, military appreciation night here tonight. And before the game, there are so many veterans of World War II that live within about a 150-mile radius of Cincinnati. And we've talked about this so many times through the years as Carpenter lifts a fly ball into left field. Before the game today, the Reds had about 8 or 9 of those gentlemen on the field before the game. Boy, they still look good, don't they?
Sure do.
Then they recognize Frank Savage in between innings, his service from 42 to 45, and a number of the Reds players came out to shake their hands. Look at those guys. Here's Mr. Savage. He was in the Pacific Rim serving from 42 to 45. Boy, we cannot thank them enough. Today, the 73rd anniversary of D-Day. 7 of those World War II veterans are with us tonight. 2 away in the inning. That ball in the air to left center field. Ball's not going to carry much tonight. I mean, you got to hit it. And Gennett hit his. That's short of the warning track. That'll end the inning. Adelman really pitching well, and he has a 5-0 lead.
So far, so good here in the Queen City. 5-0 Cincinnati. Selfie cheese. Yes, sir. Good night so far, Tom Burnham.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Jim Day, you are one of the kings of selfies. In fact, you had a few of those down in the dugout, if I remember right, during spring training.
I had one that you did for the Fox Ohio site that your father has not let me forget about.
And that's where I recall hearing about it.
Of course. Can I give you a classic Marty Brennaman here tonight?
Why not?
So I'm doing the hit in the open, right? I'm standing on the field. And he loves when he's not doing the game to ring my phone.
You're not alone.
While I'm on the air. And I don't have the ringer on, but I have it on vibrate. And just vibrating away. And he's just at home, belly laughing. So there you go.
All right.
He's watching.
Well, it's appropriate you bring that up, Jim, because pretty soon up here in the booth, it'll be all Brennaman all the time.
That's
Marty
exactly
may not
right.
be at the ballpark, but his wife Amanda is here. We'll be visiting with her very soon, I hope.
In the 5th inning.
And should be talking about the ladies' night out coming up.
Right, night of their own coming up.
Or the night of their own, yeah.
Yep. Great looking shot right there.
I wonder if Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina will talk about the sequence that led up to that grand slam home run by Gennett. Because he shook off Molina a couple of times in order to get to the pitch that he wanted, which was a fastball. They made a mistake in the execution. But Molina put one sign down, he shook it off, put another sign down and shook it off. We're going to show you this sequence when we can. Maybe if Adelman will foul a pitch off and give us a second to breathe. That'll do. Here's right before the grand slam. One shake, two shakes. Okay, that's it. I want the fastball. And I would imagine that Adam Wainwright's probably the only pitcher on this pitching staff that is allowed to shake off Yadier Molina. I mean, at this point you might if you're Mike Leake. But Wainwright certainly is pitching his own game, and I doubt that Molina's the kind of guy to say, I told you so.
Well, remember when all these young pitchers came up, whether it was when Tony La Russa was a manager or in recent years with Mike Matheny. I mean, that's all we'd hear when we'd go down there and ask him, about a young pitcher. Yeah, we've told him, do not shake Molina off one time in the game.
And that's not very unusual. I mean, it's not only because Yadier Molina, you tell young pitchers that when you have experienced catchers like Devin Mesoraco or Tucker Barnhart, same thing goes. I mean, it's up to the catcher nowadays to know the scouting report, and they are detailed. In fact, there are some ball clubs that will have the catcher wear kind of a little cheat sheet on his forearm. I remember last year seeing David Ross do that when he was playing for the Cubs. You see those more in college and high school ball where you're looking for what sign, it's like a decoder ring, but it's a bigger version.
One ball and two strikes. And hooked to the right side. And the throw is not in time. That's an excellent effort, though, by Garcia. With Hamilton scooting up the line, that's an infield hit. Two infield hits now for Billy tonight.
Well, I mean, when batting from the left side, I'd love to get a time on this for Billy Hamilton because he just gave the defense really no time at all to make a play. I mean, you can't do a whole lot more than what Greg Garcia does. I mean, he's throwing the ball while he's sliding. Good stretch by Carpenter. And Hamilton just beats the play.
So the inning continues for Cozart. And let's see if Billy tries to get into scoring position very early on in this at bat. Very early. You already have 2 outs in the inning. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Cozart leading off the next inning should you not get there successfully. If you feel like you can get a good jump. Not running. Cozart takes a strike, 1-1.
By the way, if you're wondering at home, that is Billy Hamilton tonight with another bunt hit or a swinging bunt hit called an infield hit. That makes 10 infield hits on the year for Billy Hamilton.
And that's about 4 or 5 in the last week. Because, you know, there was a time, a couple of weeks ago, you and I were up here talking on the air that Anthony Rizzo had more bunt hits than Billy Hamilton, and Rizzo had all of 1 at the time. Billy has 3 now in the last week and a half.
Yeah, I don't think they include bunt hits and infield hits. They might. I think they separate those out, at least on the stat sheet that I'm looking at.
Down the right field line, and Billy is off to the races. He's on his way to third, and they're going to hold him there. Ball quickly back to the cutoff man. That's a good play down in that corner made by Piscotty. And Billy Hatcher throwing up the stop sign. Meanwhile, another hit for Cozart, his 14th double of the year.
Guy's been amazing. You know, one of the reasons that you're going to hold up the runner right here is because you have Joey Votto coming up. You always want to know where you are in the order, who's coming up. Do you want Votto up here with a couple of batters on base? And of course, they're probably going to walk him anyway.
They do.
But Billy's thinking about scoring here.
We mentioned they intentionally walked Votto. And there's strike 1 to Suarez. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And that ball is driven into left center field. Will it get down? It'll get down. 3 runs are going to score. And Suarez is making a turn, going to third. It's a 3-run triple.
Of course, Suarez hangs in there on this breaking ball. I mean, he reads it all the way. Hanging it right around thigh high does Adam Wainwright, and Suarez makes him pay.
So here Wainwright had come in having allowed just 1 run in his last 27 innings. 1 run. And the Reds rough him up in these last 2 frames, scoring 7 times, a total of 8 in the game, and his night is over. Our skyline call to the bullpen. Gant to relieve Wainwright. 8-0 Redlegs in the 4th. Thank you very much, Jim Day. And here comes right-hander John Gant. Gant just brought up from Memphis. Came over to trade from Atlanta last December. And he delivers ball 1.
That was a trade that sent the left-hander we know very well, Jaime Garcia, from St. Louis to the Atlanta Braves, and Gant was one of the guys that came in between. Just 24 years old. He was a starter down the minor leagues. So it's going to be one of those instances where you come into a ball game where your team is down by 8 and they need a few innings out of you.
You know, as great as Wainwright has been in his career, and he has been a great pitcher when healthy for a long time, for whatever the reason, The Reds had given him fits through the years. We told you earlier his .455 earned run average before tonight is Wainwright's highest ERA against any National League opponent except for the New York Mets, but he has pitched in more than double the amount of games against the Reds than he has the Mets. And tonight would be his 11th loss if the Cardinals can't come back from an 8-0 deficit against 9 career wins versus Cincinnati.
You know, his career earned run average is very close to 3. So he's got an earned run average against the Reds of 4, which...
Well, 4.5.
Yeah, it just really doesn't compute, except that it's just one of those teams maybe that little things add up to big things. Some infield hits here and there, bloopers that go in, and all of a sudden somebody puts one into the moon deck.
And that somebody would be the guy batting right now, Scooter Gennett, who's knocked in 7 runs his last 3 at bats. Tonight, the 5 RBIs matches a career high. So if he can find a way to drive in the runner Suarez from third, it's a career night for Scooter. And that ball is tagged into right center field. Is this going to go? You got to be kidding. The last 4 at bats for Scooter Gennett. He has knocked in 9 runs. Like Suarez says, whatever you're eating before the game, make sure I get it on that same meal.
You said a couple of times, Tom, and I agree with you 100% that the ball just doesn't seem to be carrying tonight until Scooter Gennett hits it.
So it is a new career high. Here we are in the 4th inning, and Scooter Gennett tonight has knocked in 7 of the Reds' 10 runs. Close the book on Wainwright. Tack on 1 more run. He gives up 9, all earned, in 3 2/3 innings here tonight. And there's ball 4 to Kiblahan. It's just such a funny and such a strange game to think a guy can go 19 straight at bats. And remember that's not playing every day. So that's stretching out, you know, over a week time for Gennett. And you're walking around thinking, am I ever going to get a hit again? And then you get that double last night to break a 2-2 tie, driving in a pair. You get the bloop single your first time up tonight. You hit a grand slam your next at bat. And now a 2-run home run in your 3rd trip to the plate. All before the end of 4 innings.
Well, you know, with Gennett playing for the Milwaukee Brewers for so long, he played against the Cardinals a lot. And he had a pretty good batting average against them, a .280 batting average. But in 203 or 230 appearances, he had only hit 1 home run. He's made up for the power shortage tonight.
What a night for Scooter. Suarez a 3-run triple, and Gennett a long ball for the 2nd time in as many innings. (10-0) Reds lead the St. Louis Cardinals at the end of 4, and as promised, Amanda Brenneman, who of course is the better half, along with her husband Marty Brenneman. I think you've heard of him before.
I have.
Nice to have you with us.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me, Tom.
Absolutely.
You too, Chris. Thank you.
I mean, you know,
You're
before
welcome,
we even
Amanda.
put you on, I'm not even sure anymore we need to introduce you because, you know, now you're doing radio commercials and all this kind of thing. So,
It's
Chris,
all
do you
because
think
of
it's
that
even
great
necessary?
Brenneman name.
I think that she might be sitting in your seat pretty soon.
A lot of people would be in favor of that. But we're here to talk about, and you and I were talking, Chris, we've been talking, and Amanda, you and I were talking a little while ago. The Reds put together so many great events, and we talked at length yesterday. Jim Day, Chris, you were at the bowling event. raising money for the Reds Community Fund on Sunday over in Erlanger. And whatever the Reds do, whether it's their Hall of Fame induction, whether it's Reds Fest, they just seem to always get it right. And I will be the first to tell you that, I kind of wondered when they came up with this idea a couple of years ago called A Night of Their Own, where it's a ladies only night.
It is.
And it was put together, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years ago. So I think this is the 4th year or the 3rd year. I can't remember
Fourth
which.
year.
4th year, okay. And now it's coming up on June the 15th, which will be
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday night. And, you're kind of heading up this whole thing. It is a great night.
It's a great night. Not just because you get to come out to the ballpark, but you get to come out to the ballpark and do things that most people never get to do on a Major League Baseball field. And it really gives you a completely different perspective when you're sitting in the stands, like, a lot of us do, and you actually get to see a pitch being thrown from the pitching mound, and you're standing in the batting cages, and you're trying to hit that. It's tough. It's a long way, 404 out there to dead center field. So it really gives you a different perspective, and it's just a great night for ladies to come together, to learn about baseball, to talk to coaches, to hear from you and Marty, to learn how to steal a base. I mean, it's amazing what they can do. Billy Hamilton, these guys that do this, like it's no big deal. But you learn all of that kind of stuff, and you get a chance to interact with women who love baseball as well.
And, there are a lot of women that come down here that come out in groups. I mean, the guys are the same, girls are the same. You'll have the ladies' night out, guys' night out. And I think that's kind of like the goal here, that if all of a sudden you and some of your friends at home, you like baseball, or you know nothing about baseball, and maybe, you're a little apprehensive about trying to learn the part of the game. Your husband might know a lot about it, your boyfriend, whatever the case may be. And now all of a sudden, you're going to get a chance to do something the guys never get to do.
They're going to be completely jealous. I mean, honestly, they don't do this for guys. I know we have a lot of guys that come out to fantasy camp, but this is totally different. And it's not just necessarily for groups of women. Certainly, if you want to grab 4, 5, 6, 10, however many of your girlfriends you can, and you can be in the same groups, which is great. But also, there might be ladies who just have an interest and can't find someone to go. There's going to be about 300 plus other women out there with the very same interest that you have. And it's a great way to just come out, spend time at the ballpark. Plus, they're also raising money for the Reds Community Fund. So there's a whole charity component tied into that. We all know the great work that Charlie Frank and those guys do at the Community Fund. And this is just another way for the Reds to do something really great for the ladies and also give back to the community.
All right, Amanda, well, what if you're a lady that may be on the DL and you don't want to run around, you don't want to take batting practice, you don't want to field ground balls, you just want to come out and hang out, maybe get something to eat, maybe something to drink. I've noticed that they're featuring a drink called the Rosie Teeny.
They are. That's
Tell
correct.
us about that.
All of that is absolutely correct. It doesn't matter if you're 21 and in perfect shape or you're 71 and may not want to run around the bases. Every activity level is available to come out here and experience. But before all that happens on the field, you do get to take part in a great buffet, and I mean premium food, not hamburgers, hot dogs, ballpark food, but great food there in the Reds Club.
So you're living like broadcasters
pretty
there.
much,
okay.
Exactly, yeah. And they do get to tour the broadcast booths. Let's not forget that. I know Marty and Tom will be there answering a lot of questions, and they have really good questions.
They're really good questions, and it's really there are a lot of laughs involved because we'll start telling stories and that kind of thing, and I hope that the women who have come in the past have really enjoyed it. But you're right about the part about the dinner. It's right over there in the Fox Sports Ohio Champions Club, and there's an open bar over there, and there's an element of learning a lot about baseball, doing a lot of cool stuff, but also getting a chance to do something your husband and boyfriend can't do.
That's
June
correct.
the 15th, right?
Yes, June the 15th. We'll be here next Thursday night, and I really like this ball game, 10-0 Reds.
Yeah, but what's it like to live with Marty?
It's pretty good, Tom. I can't complain. Yeah, it's good.
Really?
Yeah. You should.
Thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me.
See ya. All right.
Bye, guys.
It's now time for the Unlimited Baseball Break, brought to you by T-Mobile. Here come the Judge. Yankees rookie outfielder Aaron Judge passes Mike Trout for the American League All-Star Vote lead. Houston Astros, we continue to document them, and they continue to win. 11 straight now, 724 winning percentage, and a massive 14-game lead in the American League West. And we hope you join us beginning at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Game 3 of this 4-game set, but it is the annual Reds Community Fun Telethon game. We will have special features and vignettes throughout that hour-long Reds Live pregame show, and then throughout the evening, your chance to help out some area kids and support the Reds Community Fun. And it's all tomorrow night here on Fox Sports Ohio.
And very much looking forward to that. It was great to see George Grant. He's back in town for it.
He is
great
indeed.
to see him. Couple of changes for the Cardinals. They're going to get the veteran Yadier Molina out of the game in a 10-0 contest here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Eric Fryer will take over now behind the plate.
There's an Ohio State Buckeye for you.
And a new left fielder is Jose Martinez. Dexter Fowler is out of the game as Tommy Pham moves from left field into center field. And naturally, they will find Martinez as soon as he enters the game. 1 out. The last time we saw George Grant, he was walking around. He and I both were in walking boots.
Yeah, you guys are both out of your boots now.
Yeah, he looks a lot better than me, though.
Yeah, I don't think either of you guys are ready for the versus Billy race.
What a play that is. Beautifully done by Matt Carpenter. Of course, Carpenter in his career has played second base regularly. He's played third base and now over at first. 2 out.
Well, Alderman trying to bid for an opposite field hit right there, except Carpenter backhands that on the dive.
So 2 down for Gant, and here's Billy Hamilton. Hamilton started a 2-out rally in the 4th inning. Remember, the first 2 batters were retired by Wainwright before Hamilton had that ball that just stayed on the first base line. In essence, a swinging bunt. His second infield hit of the game. He went to third on a double by Cozart. They intentionally walked Votto. And all of this with 2 outs. Suarez had a 3-run triple, and Gennett clubbed a 2-run home run. It's amazing how close these ballparks that have been built over the last 15, 20 years, how close you are to the action. Those folks right there in the front row, right on it. Tony Giardulo has been roaming around the ballpark during this homestand and giving you some of those great shots. Been out in right field, up in the upper deck, left field, and now in the first row, and will be the second row. Here's Tony. That's big league vest right there. Looking good, T. Chris Welsh wears one of those when he travels during the offseason. There's a foul ball behind the plate.
You know the amazing thing, when you have a vest like that, you can park just about anywhere.
You're right.
That even works better than the Undertaker on duty sign I put in the dashboard.
Yeah, but you know, when you break that thing out, it's normally when you head out to like you know, like Vail or Aspen or somewhere like that, and they're thinking you're up there doing some camera work, and you get the free, you know, pass for the day, the lift ticket. You don't have to buy one. I mean, that's a savings when you're out there for, you know, 20, 23 days.
Well, you can use your resources for better things. Stay hydrated.
And if you show up in one of those Fox Sports vests, you might be able to navigate your way through slipping out of paying for one or two of those. 2-2 to Kozar.
I've learned from the best.
Amen. Two. And Kozar just keeps on rolling. 2 more hits, has been on base in each of his last 3 plate appearances. A walk, a double, and a single.
Well, right now the Cardinals do not have an answer for Zach Kozar. I mean, pitches up in the zone, away, he hits them the right field. Up in the zone, he pulls them hard, right on the sweet spot. I mean, this isn't just like one short little streak where over the last 10 or 15 games he's been just on fire. He has been really doing this all season long. It's incredible.
Votto bounced out to Wainwright in the first inning, had a single to right field, scored in the third, and was intentionally walked in the fourth inning. We'll keep you up to speed on some of the other games. Everybody back in action tonight. The first place Brewers lost last night to slip into a tie for first. The Giants rallied to beat them. The Cubs, after losing 6 in a row, have now won 4 in a row. Cubs beating the Marlins last night. Votto lifts a fly ball into short left, and this should end the inning. And it does. A scoreless inning for the Reds. We go to the 6th. 10-0 Cincinnati. Reds had a 1-0 lead in our Honda game summary until the third inning. Scooter Gennett, a grand slam to make it 5-0. And then the Reds had a 5-run fourth inning with 2 outs. Bases loaded. Suarez a 3-run triple. And then Scooter Gennett, a career night. 7 runs batted in, hits his 2nd home run of the game. And on the mound, 1 would be enough so far for Tim Adleman.
Oh, by the way, the other part of this game has been pitching. And Adleman has been simply throttling the Cardinals ever since the first inning when he showed he faced only 3 in the first. He has had 3 batter innings and a couple of 4 batter innings, and that's it. Really, the Cardinals have not threatened one bit. And he starts this inning off in the pitcher slot. You know, funny how things can change, Tom. At the beginning of the year, the Reds had all these young pitchers, Sal Romano, and Rookie Davis, Amir Garrett, you know, Stevenson, and you know, it was a fight for who was going to be in the rotation. And the guy that was overlooked really in spring training, because they didn't have a great spring, was Tim Adleman. And what he did last year was very interesting for the Reds. Not great, but he pitched, you know, some solid baseball. And what he has done is make the most out of what he's got. He realizes that a pitcher's job nowadays is really just to try to let the hitter get himself out. And he's mixing his pitches up. He's got great control. He's got a little extra deception on his fastball. That's where those strikeouts are coming from. I just don't see a lot of really good swings off of him where you hear a lot of great contact. So while the other guys are, you know, down the minor leagues getting some more work in and some experience down at the AAA level, Adelman is up here last few starts dealing.
Look, you've talked about it regularly while this starting rotation has struggled the entire year, but especially here over about the last 2.5 weeks, that as the Homer Baileys of the world begin now rehab assignments, the Brandon Finnegans will not be far behind. The next 30 days, and I only throw that as a round number. It could be a little less than that. It could be a little more than that. But roughly by the time you hit the 4th of July or somewhere in that neighborhood, Brian Price is going to stick with a hot hand. So if a guy like Adelman, who now is putting together 3 outstanding games in a row, there might be other guys who are more highly touted, that are paid more money, whatever you want to say. But if Tim Adelman continues to pitch the way he's pitching right now, there is no way he's coming out of this rotation. The Reds just have not had enough good starting pitching to take a guy the way he's going right now out of the rotation.
I don't know what team would. I guess my point is, though, that you can't overlook the dark horse in the whole thing. I mean, you line up all your pitchers, and Brian Price is looking at it, I'm sure, from one view, and maybe Dick Williams in the front office is looking at it from another view about developing the young pitchers. Where are we going to be next year, and then the year after that, the year after that, with the young pitchers? Well, Brian Price is thinking, well, how about right now? You've got a ball club that's scoring a lot of runs. They're creeping up on the 500 mark. They're hanging right in there compared to everybody else in the division. I want to win the game tonight. And Adelman has been a pretty good answer for some of the questions that have surrounded the starting rotation.
Well, last night the Reds got 6 innings of 2-run baseball out of Asher Wojciechowski. Oh my, look at that. Now that's a nice Tuesday night. In the air left field. Let's take a shot of that going to break. Everybody sit back when you're ahead 10-0. Oh my. Nice.
We invite you to hang around after the game. It will be the premiere of the Scooter Gennett Show. It has been all Scooter tonight. It is Reds Live, the post-game show. I imagine we'll have reaction from Scooter, highlights, and so much more. It's coming up, presented by Performance Kings Honda. You gentlemen had mentioned guys in the minor leagues right now. Sal Romano was on the DL down in the minor leagues. He just came back and made his first start tonight, and I would say the big hoss Sal would like to make a bid to come back, because he went 5 innings strong, 5 hits, no runs, walked 2 batters, struck out 8 through 82 pitches. So a very good comeback for big Sal Romano.
Well, the Reds are still very excited about Romano and Reed and all those guys down there. So Robert Stevenson threw the ball very well last night, going back into the starting rotation, and that's where he wants to be.
I think there are a lot of guys that want to be in the starting rotation. That are at Louisville, and even maybe some guys here in the Reds bullpen that would prefer to be in the starting rotation.
Well, we talked about it last night when Michael Lorenzen came into the game. That, I mean, he has openly talked about it, and not in a way that is undermining the manager or the general manager or anybody else. He's saying, hey, look, I'm a team guy. I'll do whatever they ask me to do. But if you're asking me, looking forward in my career, would I rather be a reliever or a starter, Lorenzen will not hesitate in saying, I would like to give starting another shot.
Kind of interesting, really, because when Lorenzen first came up, when they signed him out of Cal State Fullerton, he was a reliever. In fact, he played center field, and then they bring him into closed games. He threw nearly 100 miles an hour, and that's why the scouts were so excited. And then when they get them in the minor leagues, what you normally do is you take your best arms and your best draft picks and you give them as many innings as possible. And that means you make them into starters so that their in-between work can be done in front of a bullpen and have a coach standing there and help you develop your pitches. Well, they came up here and was a starter, and then realized that you know, the more he started, the less his fastball velocity was. It would go down. In fact, he lost about 4 miles per hour. So that and some arm issues prompted the move to the bullpen. His velocity pops right back up, and he's been dominant. But I don't think he's anywhere near the pitcher then that he is now.
Well, not even close.
I mean, he's added a couple of pitches. His control is much better. His windup is more repeatable and cleaner. I think he'd be a very interesting move to the starting rotation if the Reds feel that's something that they've got in the future.
What a night it has been for Scooter Gennett. What a 24 hours it's been for Scooter Gennett. Broke a 2-2 tie last night with a 2-run double in the 7th inning, and now 7 runs batted in tonight, a career high. Brandon Phillips, the last Red to drive in that many in a game 2 years ago. But it's 9 runs batted in for Scooter in his last 4 at bats, with 2 home runs, a double, and a single. Now this one down the left field line. Has he done it again? He has done it again. I tell you, for the night Scooter Gennett's having, that fella lighting the fireworks ought to just keep setting them off for about the next 10 minutes. This is unbelievable. This has got to be curtain call material, Chris Welch.
You better believe it.
Reds fans are standing, cheering. They want Scooter on a curtain call. Come on, Scooter. Come on now. There we go.
What a night.
Kivlayan, a fly ball to center field. I mean, this is just extraordinary.
I mean, even though that pitch was way up and way out, he still got just a perfect part of the bat on that ball, and it just went and went. It seems like everybody else are just mere mortals at the plate. And then you have Scooter.
Well, this is a first Red, if I'm looking at this correctly, in a 9-inning game, by the way, to knock in 8 runs in a game since Dave Parker did it for the Reds in 1987. And Scooter, a 3-homer game and a curtain call. What a night. We invite you to get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before the start of every game on Fox Sports Ohio. All the info you need for that night's game with the Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And once more again tomorrow night, 6:30 Reds Live, game coverage at 7. Lance Lynn having a solid season, native of Brownsburg, Indiana, against the 40-year-old right-hander coming off a solid effort his last time over the weekend as Bronson Arroyo. Bronson went 6 innings and allowed 2 runs in that 12-inning loss to the Atlanta Braves Saturday afternoon. Actually, that was a Friday night game, I beg your pardon, when the Reds won 3-2 in a no decision for Arroyo. A lot of changes for the Reds. We'll just tell you about them Votto's out of the game for the rest of the night. Kivlahan takes over at first. It's a nice sign right here. Schebler, first time he's played in a game since he injured his shoulder on Saturday. This ball is tattooed by Piscotty. Is it fair or foul? That is a fair ball and a long home run by Stephen Piscotty to make it an 11-1 game. It's only the third hit given up all night and the first Cardinal to reach since a single in the second inning by Jerko.
Pretty much right where everybody wants him.
Arismendi Alcantara takes over at second base. Peraza goes over to short. The night is over for Cozart. So the first hit since a Jerko single in the second inning. The only other Cardinal to reach base until that home run was a walk in the fifth inning to Tommy Pham. One out in the seventh. Eric Fryer getting his first at bat since replacing Yadier Molina. So you look at Edelman, that's now what, 8, 6, 14 and 6, 21, nearly 21 innings and allowing only 4 runs for Tim Edelman spanning these last 3 starts.
Yeah, and included in that was a start against the Toronto Blue Jays, who seemingly were knocking everything out of the ballpark in that series.
Two and two on Fryer. And a fly ball to center. 2 out. Well, Reds fans, the 4 for 48 weekends are back, and they begin with the Dodgers come a calling. Next homestand, that's next weekend. Buy 4 view level tickets and receive 4 special number 14 Reds hats in honor of the Hit King and the statue unveiling that weekend. The 4 for 48 ticket offer ready to roll. 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. So now Tommy Pham. This will be the 100th pitch of the night for Edelman. See, the second inning, the only inning where he threw more than 14. Boy, he's been good. Really good.
Well, he's ready and getting it and going, isn't he?
Sure
He's
is.
not wasting any time on the mound, prancing around, playing with the rosin bag.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Pham. 2 outs. We're in the 7th. All Redlegs here tonight. They rallied from 2-0 down with 4 in the 7th in a 2-run decision in the opener. Scored in the first inning tonight, a single run. Got the grand slam by Scooter Gennett in the 4-run third, 5 more in the 4th. Another home run by Gennett, then a 3rd home run by Scooter. Solo shot in the 6th inning. He's knocked in 8 of the 11 runs the Reds have scored in the game. Well, Mac Jenkins will get on the horn down to the Reds bullpen. No one getting loose quite yet, although some bodies beginning to stir around. You know, the Reds made a roster move before the game today. If you weren't with us in Reds Live, Tony Cingrani is now back on the active roster. Luis Alberto Bonilla, who won a major league game for the first time since 2014 here last night, was sent back to the minor leagues. I have a feeling we'll see Bonilla back again this year.
I'm sure we will. I think we'll see a lot of those pitchers that are down there right now. And not that they made any promises to those pitchers when they sent them down. You never do. But you give them a little encouragement. You tell them, hey, you go down there and you work hard, you get your act together, you start throwing strikes or get your breaking ball going or whatever that is for that particular pitcher. We'll get you back up here.
Where some guys don't get it that easy. There are other guys you get very frustrated with, and you say, look, you go down there, you'll get the pat on the back, but we better see X, Y, and Z, right?
Well, you're right, especially those guys that are higher rated as far as prospects. Maybe they've got more money invested in you, and maybe your ceiling is higher because you've got more talent.
What a night for Adelman. That's his 7th strikeout of the game. 7 is 1-run baseball. Gann on the mound, and Tucker Barnhart will lead things off. Michael Lorenzen will be used as a pinch hitter next for the pitcher Tim Adelman, and then back to the leadoff man Billy Hamilton.
Yeah, John Gant looks a little bit like Bronson Arroyo, doesn't he? Without the highlights and the straight leg kick, but a little bit of an unusual delivery. A step back and then another step.
Highly unusual. 1 out. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. We talked about Christian Arroyo, the infielder for the San Francisco Giants, from the same hometown as Bronson Arroyo. I think these guys, older brother on your right, younger brother on your left.
Yeah. What did you say Gant was? 23? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think so.
Bronson's 40. Tell you what, you know, you say that in baseball terms, 40 is ancient. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. It is. You don't see very many players playing to that age. In the grand scheme of things, he's still a young man to many of us, talking about Bronson Arroyo. For a guy like Gant, not only do you hope to have the longevity of Bronson Arroyo, I think most 23-year-olds would say when they look at Bronson Arroyo as a 40-year-old, I hope I look that good. I mean, he is in great shape, or he wouldn't be doing what he's doing at 40.
Well, you know, when you're, Gant is actually 24, going to be 25 in August. You know, when you're that age, you think you're going to pitch till you're 40 years old. You know that not everybody on your team will, but you think that you will.
Lorenzen, a comebacker to the mound. Now let me ask you, and I'm not saying this to pick on Gant, but you know, you work with a lot of college pitchers and high school pitchers and youth pitchers. With this windup, is that windup going to have to change for this guy to stay in the major leagues?
I don't know why it would.
Okay.
We haven't seen him really in a situation where he's got to hold runners on, and I'm sure it's way different from the stretch windup, but that's his full windup. I think it's probably just something developed because he's trying to find a certain amount of balance and rhythm, and this worked for him. I mean, he takes a step back, up, and then back, and then, okay, now I'm ready. And I don't really think that it has any deception at all for the hitter. It's just probably all about keeping his delivery together.
Looks like Drew Storen will be the Reds pitcher in the Cardinal 8th. And Hamilton went around, and that's it for the Reds. 11-1 Cincinnati. We go to the 8th. 11-1 ball game. With the Reds in front. And indeed, taking over on the mound for the Reds will be Drew Storen. Tim Adelman, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts.
So you're saying Storen has pretty big shoes to fill right here.
Better believe that. There have been different guys at different points in time through this really rough 2+ months from the Reds starting rotation. Their bullpen has been lights out. The offense by and large has had a dip here, a dip there, but for the most part is among the better offensive clubs in the league. The defense has been great all year. These last 3 turns through the rotation, Adelman has been by far the Reds' best pitcher. And the Reds are hoping he can stay on a nice lengthy roll. And you know, Chris, who knows? There's a liner into left field. That'll be an out. You know, this time a year ago, we were pretty much saying the same thing about Dan Straley. You know, we were really wondering how long is this going to last, right?
Right.
Who knows? You never know.
Well, I mean, for Adelman, and like it was for Straley, is just making pitches when you have to. You know, throwing the ball to your target, being able to change speeds in the process. I mean, it sounds really simple, but it's very difficult to do, actually get out there and do. But I mean, they didn't really hit him hard at all. The Phillies didn't hit a hard ball off of him in the 8 innings of one-hit ball that he pitched there in Philadelphia. And then, of course, he went 6 innings of 3-run ball in Toronto. Quality starts for Reds pitchers in streaks have been very hard to find this year. The only other pitcher other than Adelman who's had 3 consecutive starts that are quality starts would be Amir Garrett. That was at the very beginning of the year, between April 7th to the April the 19th.
Yeah, his first 3 starts of the season.
So you can almost take the manager takes the night off on a night like this.
Johnny Peralta off the St. Louis bench with a pinch hit single. Be a part of one of the huge nights in the history of this ballpark. The Reds will honor Peter Edward Rose. Arrive early, see the Hit Kings bronze statue as it's unveiled as part of the special Bud and Burgers viewing party from noon to 3:30 at the Banks. First 30,000 fans through the gates get a replica statue. That is June the 17th. That is a week from this Saturday. And I would highly suggest that you jump on Reds.com/Pete if you want to be here for that. We all know that the Reds have finally been able to retire Pete Rose's jersey. Now he will join some of the all-time greats with statues around the ballpark, including a couple of his teammates, 3 of his teammates. And not knowing what the future will hold in regards to Pete Rose and the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Will this be the last huge honor that the baseball world can bestow upon Pete Rose? Line drive for the second out of the inning. Everybody hopes that Rose would find a way to get into the Hall of Fame. I mean, everybody from around these parts hopes it'll happen, but whatever the chances you think those might be or not be, it is conceivable that this could be the last great big honor.
Well, Tom, remember that Major League Baseball is not standing in the way of Pete Rose being inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's banned from baseball from being a coach, any kind of a front office operative, being on the field and so on in that capacity. National Hall of Fame and Major League Baseball are not the same thing.
No. Inning over. 1 hit, 1 left. 11-1 Reds after 7.5. They beat. Grand slam for Scooter Gennett in the 3rd. 2-run home run by Scooter Gennett in the 4th. Solo home run Scooter Gennett in the 6th. He is the first Reds player with at least 3 home runs and 8 runs batted in a single game. Listen to this. Since Smokey Burgess back in 1955. First Reds player since Smokey Burgess with 3 home runs, 8 RBIs in the same game. Gennett is due up 4th here in this inning. John Brebbia takes over on the mound. It should be noted, no Red has ever, the oldest franchise in professional baseball. No Cincinnati Red has ever hit 4 home runs in a game. Gennett due up 4th here in the 8th. So somebody's got to find a way by hook or by crook to get on. See the numbers on Brevia. We mentioned they just brought him back up from the minor leagues when this series began. Shortstop will throw out Alcantara, one away. Let's check in downstairs with Jim Day.
Talked about the transaction of today, Tony Cingrani being activated. Brian Price said even though he's been in high leverage situations in the past, since he's been on the disabled list so long, he wanted a soft landing at least the first time out, and he got it right off the bat. 11-1 lead. This would be a soft landing. He is warming up. Most likely will be in there in the ninth.
All righty. Well, we'll look forward to seeing him.
I don't think I've ever heard that used like that before. Soft landing. When it comes to describing how to use a player in a baseball game. Interesting use of words.
Here's Schebler, his first at bat since we saw him injure his shoulder over the weekend. Hey, Jim, by the way, I know you had some information about Pete Rose. His statue unveiling will not be his only honor this summer.
Yeah, the Phillies don't have a Hall of Fame, but they have a Wall of Fame out there in Ashburn Alley in right field, and all the greats and his former teammates with the Phillies, Mike Schmidt in there, Steve Carlton, etc. He is going to be inducted into that in August, and they had a vote by their committee and also an online vote, and overwhelmingly Pete Rose was the selection by the fans. So it'll be a big honor coming up in August, and just like in Cincinnati, not quite as much, but in Philadelphia, he is beloved as well.
He sure is. Three and one account on Schebler. All right, he's aboard, so we have a shot, and the crowd senses it. I mean, in an 11-1 game, you don't hear that kind of reaction from the crowd when a player walks. "28 players have hit 3 home runs in a game wearing a Reds uniform, a total of 35 times. No player has ever hit 4 of them in one game wearing a Cincinnati Reds uniform. In a game, including a grand slam for the Reds all time. Votto, Davis, the game we talked about Burgess when he too knocked in 8 runs in that game. And Alex Camporis all the way back in 1937. All right, so here we go.
I think that would be my screensaver if I was Scooter Gennett.
That's a great line. You're right. Well, he was trying to get number 4 with that cut. All right. He's going to tighten up those batting gloves. A little dirt on the hands. Big deep breath coming up. And let her rip. Liner to right field. Gennett, the first Red ever, with 4 home runs in a game.
Unbelievable.
Can you believe it? And this will certainly be his second curtain call of a night. You think about all the great sluggers in the history of the Reds franchise. And yet, a young man born right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, Scooter Gennett, is the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. You know, the Cardinals had a legendary broadcaster named Jack Buck for a long time who ended a telecast one night saying, "I can't believe what I just saw." And tonight, can you believe what we have seen from Scooter Gennett? 4 home runs, 9 batted in. Time to change that screensaver. All right, we're pouring through the record books now. Scooter Gennett has become the 17th player in the history of Major League Baseball to hit 4 home runs in a game. And he is the first since a one-time Red named Josh Hamilton. Remember him? He did it in 2012 with the Rangers. I mean, this is just... I just can't believe it.
This is the kind of night where everybody who has been to this ball game keeps their ticket stub. And they'll say somewhere down the road, whether it's tomorrow, next week, or 15 years from now, I was there the night that Scooter hit 4 home runs.
Oh, yeah.
Just like so many people claim that they were there the night that Tom Browning pitched the perfect game.
That's right. I mean, you think about some of the names. Going all the way back to Walker Cooper or Gus Bell or Smokey Burgess, Ted Kluszewski, Frank Robinson, Johnny Bench, George Foster, Eric Davis, even guys like Reggie Sanders, Greg Vaughn, Kevin Mitchell for a while, Joey Votto, Tony Perez, on and on and on. Some of the great sluggers in the history of this game.
You know, and we're trying to verify it, but he might be the first player in Major League history to hit for the cycle in home runs. A solo. Did he have a solo?
Sure he did. His last 2 times up. He didn't get a 3-run homer today.
Oh,
he got a grand slam.
We got a grand slam.
And a 2-run homer. I just can't believe we've seen, especially that last time up. I mean, when everybody that's in this ballpark, and he knew it. I mean, maybe we'll be surprised after a game, and we'll find out in the interview with Jeff Piccolo that he did not know a Reds player had never hit 4 home runs in a game. Perhaps we'll be surprised, but I would think he knew that when he went up there his final at bat.
Oh, of course he did.
And to get to 2 strikes in the at-bat and then to hit a home run.
I mean,
golly
to
dang.
go to the plate and try to hit a home run and do it is rare. Very, very rare.
Line drive, left field, base hit. So the Cardinals have 2 on against Cinbrani. And by the way, not to overlook yet another footnote in Reds history. Scooter tonight ties the most runs batted in ever in a game by a Red. So he's hit the most home runs in a game ever by a Red, and he ties Walker Cooper, who knocked in 10 runs against Chicago on July the 6th, 1949. I think everybody's just trying to catch their breath here. So Cingrani back out there on the mound is allowed a walk and a single.
Everybody is trying to catch their breath, including the guy loading up the fireworks.
That guy's going to get double time tonight.
Holy Moses.
Cingrani was throwing the ball quite well early in the season before going down with the injury. A strained right oblique going all the way back to April the 21st for Tony Cingrani. And you know, when you start now taking a macro look at the whole thing about Gennett, and we were talking so much about how he had more RBIs in fewer than 100 at bats. This was 2 days ago. Than any player in Major League Baseball. They're going to get one, that's all. Fryer runs pretty well for a guy who gets back there behind the plate. One away here in the 9th inning, but Gennett now in 116 at bats has 30 runs batted in. That is tied for 4th most on the Reds team, and all the other guys are up around 200 at bats. There's one, and that's a double play to win it. Tonight belongs to Scooter Gennett. Cincinnati born, and makes Cincinnati franchise history tonight. The first Red to ever hit 4 home runs in a game. And Gennett knocks in 9, one short of tying the team record set by Walker Cooper.